All right, my friends, we are going to get started with the Unit 2, Section 2 notes. And in this section, we're talking all about exponents. I know that you have probably heard the word before or done a little bit with it in the past. So we're just going to build on that. So when you look here, right, let me grab a pen. Let's go with blue today. This is called an exponent. This is called a base. The whole thing is a power. And basically, an exponent allows us to multiply a number by itself, how many times we want, right? And so instead of doing 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, we could simply say 5 to the 8th power or 5 to the 12th power. So the number here that's our base, I'm just going to rewrite it here, that is telling me the number that I'm multiplying. My exponent tells me how many of that number I have. So for example, I would have 3 5s. 12 to the 4th power equals 12 times 12 times 12 times 12. So let's go ahead and write here that this is a result of repeated multiplication. And this 5 here, that is your base. The 3 here, that is your exponent. And I'm going to grab another color, red. That whole thing is your power. All right, so let's go ahead and practice with a few problems. So it says using exponent, write the product using an exponent. So we have 43 times 43 times 43 times 43. The number there is 43, so 43 is going to be our base. We also have 43 4 times, so then we know our exponent is 4. A word of caution, something to watch out for, a common misconception, this is not 43 times 4. It is 43 times 43 times 43 times 43. Two very different answers. So make sure that the exponent actually tells you how many times of that base you have. So again, number 2, we have negative 100 3 times. Does not matter if it's negative, it works the same way. Negative 100 is our base. 3 is our exponent. If you look at number 3, we have a variable. Again, it doesn't matter that it's a variable. It works the exact same way. X is our base. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. So that's x to the 5th power. All right, in number 4, we have a number and 2 variables. So we're just going to write it in the order that it appears. So we have 1, 5. So it doesn't need an exponent. If we were to write an exponent of 1, that is technically correct. However, you're not going to see it written very often because 5 to the 1st power is simply just 5. So you will just see that as 5. So 5 times p, 1, 2, 3. So that's p to the 3rd. Times t to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, t to the 5th power. So 5p to the 3rd power or t to the 5th power. Something else to add to your notes, any number or variable to the 2nd power, so like x to the 2nd power, you can also say that as x squared. If you have something to the 3rd power, you can say that would be x cubed. So you may hear me refer to something as squared or cubed. That would mean a 2nd or 3rd power. Anything higher than 3, we would just say to the 4th power, to the 8th power, and so forth. All right, so in this part, we're going to write the power in words, and then we're going to go the other way and actually write the repeated multiplication. So the first one is 2.5 to the 4th power. So you're literally just writing that same thing in words. 2.5 to the 4th power. And I want to apologize. Sometimes my handwriting can be tricky to read. Sometimes it's a little difficult to write with the stylus on the screen. So if you ever need clarification on what something is, please, please, please ask. So 2.5 to the 4th power. So that is just simply 2.5 as my base 4 times. All right, looking at number 2, that is just simply 9 to the 6th power. For 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Number 3 has a decimal again. It works the same way. Because it has that 3 there, you can already probably guess what I'm going to write. But this is 1 4/10 cubed. And that, my friends, is just 1.4 times 1.4 times 1.4. All right. Last but not least, 16 to the 1st power, and your answer is going to be 16. All right, moving right along. We are going to do the same thing we did in section 1, but this time we're going to evaluate expressions with exponents. So y equals 3, so I'm going to substitute 3 for y, and then raise that to the 4th power. I don't need to compute the actual answer. I can leave it as 3 to the 4th power. Here, I have 7 times 2 squared. I am only squaring the 2 because order of operations tells me to do exponents first. So this is 7 times 4, which then we know as 28. If you would like to figure out what 3 to the 4th power is, by all means, go for it. All right, turning over to the back page, we have z squared, which is 2.5 squared plus x, so plus 2. 2.5 squared is 2.5 times 2.5, which is 6.25 plus 2 equals 8.25. All right, I'm going to let you try number 4. Again, if you have any questions at all, please, please, please ask. All right, we're now going to think about this concept with a little bit of geometry. So thinking about squares and cubes. So you know a square has 4 equal sides, and a cube is just a 3D square. So if we think about the area of a square, that is just its side squared. Because the area of a square equals length times width. If both of my sides are the same, that equals area equals side times side, which with an exponent we can write as side squared. So for volume, that formula is length times width times height. Our sides are the same, side times side times side equals side cubed. So volume equals side cubed. All right, so it says find the area of a square with a side length of 8 inches. So we know that's just going to be 8 squared, which is 64 inches squared. With area, we always have square units. Number 2 says find the volume of a cube with a side length of 4 meters. So that's going to be 4 cubed. And I'm going to let you figure out what that is. And if you already figured it out from the previous page, actually, no, the previous page was 3 to the 4th power. So now you have a new challenge of 4 cubed. All right, friends, we're going to wrap it up with a couple review problems. These are problems from the last section. You're simply just going to plug in that variable. So I'll do number 1 with you. A equals 5, so this is just 5 plus 7, which gives me an answer of 12. Thanks for listening. That wraps up section 2.